Hi, I'm Bonnie, and I'm going to be doing my video on on the year and month that I was born. This is my audience. I'm one short because my son got called in today, so I hope that's okay. I didn't have any time to get another person. And I'm going to talk about July of 1964, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened during that month of July. And before I was born, my Uncle Tom, which is my dad's brother, he was diagnosed with leukemia a couple months beforehand. And when he found out that they were going to have me, that he was ecstatic. He was happy to be an uncle. So while my dad had to work, my uncle would take my mom to all her doctor's appointments because he just wanted to make sure that they were taken care of. So the month day that I was born, the 21st, was a joyous time. But back then, they never sent them home within 24 hours like they do now. They do a lot of C-sections now, too. Back then, it was at least, 5 to 7 days you were in the hospital before you could even actually go home. So about 7 days after I was born, my mom came home with me, and that's when my grandma and them brought my uncle over. He was really ill at that point, where he could hardly walk. So they brought him over to see me, and that evening is when he passed away, because they think he was just waiting till he could see me, because he was always so excited about being an uncle. Okay, a few things that happened during the July, mostly, was on July 2nd, President Johnson was the 36th president. He came into office actually in 1963 when President Kennedy was assassinated. But in July, on 2nd, he signed the Civil Rights Act into law, and then he also signed in the Voting Rights Act into law. And another thing that he did that was pretty interesting is he signed a bill enacting Medicare. So Medicare was started. Okay, a few other things that actually happened. A few music icons. The Beach Boys on July 4th. The I Get Around reached #1 for a few weeks. And in the 6th of July, the Beatles film Hard Day's Night premiered in London, I think it was. Yes, it was in London. And it was black and white, and it was a comedy, and it featured the Beatles. So... And on the 15th of July, Barry M. Goldwater was nominated for president by the Republicans. On the 21st, which was when I was born, Mildred Simpson runs female world record marathon. There were also some riots that were going on in the July of 1964. One of the places was in New York. They were the race riots in Harlem and in Rochester. On the 17th, Great Britain performed nuclear testing on a Nevada site in the United States. It was pretty interesting that they had to test it on our land, On the 26th, the U.S. Union leader, James Hoffa, was convicted of fraud and conspiracy, and he actually was sentenced for fraud. On the 31st, the U.S. Ranger 7 took 4,300 pictures before it crashed on the moon. Jim Reeves died in an airplane crash in July of 1964. A few famous births that were also in 1964 was July 9th, Courtney Love was born, and on the 26th of July, Sandra Bullock was born. Okay, and a few other things that went on for prices for in July or 1964 was eggs were only 54 cents. A gallon of gas was only 25 cents. Wish that was now, but far from that. A gallon of milk was 95 cents. A loaf of bread was 21 cents. First class stamp was only 5 cents. And the pay phones were 10 cents, which a lot of the people nowadays or kids nowadays don't even know what a pay phone is, and I don't think there is very few around. A cost of a new home was only $20,500. Oh, that's a far-fetched now. So, and then another famous thing was Arnold Palmer won his 4th Masters in July of 1964. So I'm glad you were my audience today. They did pretty good. It was pretty interesting looking up all this information for my July of 1964 It was hard to find information, but it was, you know, not too hard, I guess. Not as much as I thought I could find, but at least I found some of the things, and I didn't know that some of the stuff happened. Thank you for watching my video, and have a great Thanksgiving.